ChatGPT just recently added a brand new beta feature. If you're subscribed to the premium plan of ChatGPT, you can use it right now. All you need to have is be opt-in to the premium version and you can use the brand new code interpreter. I'm going to be showing you the use cases, some example of some prompts, and how you can actually get started using this brand new feature. This is going to be useful for data analysts who want to analyze certain files and data sets, also for people who are programmers who want to work with languages like Python, and you can analyze and resize images. There's a whole lot of cool things you can do with this video. As you can see up here, we also have plugins, which I also made a video on. I'll link that in the description down below if you want to learn how plugins work. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So, like I said, you have to have ChatGPT Plus, as you can see that I have over here, and you want to go down and we enable it the same as we did with plugins last time. So these little three dots next to our profile, settings, beta features, and code interpreter just below plugins. With being a Plus subscriber, you can have early access to experimental new features which they add during the development cycle. And first we had plugins, so we could use third-party plugins which leveraged other APIs and website services, like we could search for hotels or create travel itineraries or analyze the crypto market data from the current day. Really cool plugins. Now we have the code interpreter, so we can try a version of ChatGPT that knows how to write and execute Python code and can work with file uploads. Try asking for help with data analysis, image conversions, or editing a code file. Files will not persist beyond a single session. Now, when we've enabled it and you've clicked that box, you can see at the top, we need to go to GPT-4 again because this is the current model which supports all the beta features. And now, above plugins, we have code interpreter. We can press that. And now, as you can see, when we enable this, you can see there's a little plus. This allows us to now upload a file. So if we have a file from our computer in our Windows Explorer, we can upload that as the input. Now, to actually get an input, we need to have a file. There's a website here called kaggle.com, credit to Howfinity. Basically, this allows you to download certain files, including trending data sets. So we're just going to download some random data just to analyze it. So we're going to download the house prices 2023 data set. So we click on it, and in the top right, there's a download button, which is right by my camera. So I'm going to click that, press download, and now it's going to download this zip file as an archive. So I'm just going to extract this zip file. So we have the file over here. So now we have some random data sets. So these are just random housing price data. It's really random stuff, but this is just an example how it works. So we have house price data, and it's a CSV file. So this is an Excel file that Microsoft Excel supports, so it's data. So I can press plus, go to our downloads folder, and I'm going to import one of them. So I'm just going to click on house price data set. And now we have a file in here, CSV, which is actually our data set, and it's attached to the file. So we've actually attached a file just like we would in an email. So now I'm going to type in explain this data set to me in basic terminology. Bear in mind, there is actually an upload progress, which is this little blue circle here next to file. So you have to wait for that to finish to actually enter your prompt. And then when that's completed, we can then press enter because our file has been uploaded to the server. It is quite slow because you have a lot of users on OpenAI's platform. And then here we see, I said, explain this data set to me in basic terminology. It says finish working. We can also show the work. So now it's actually going to show us the data set. So it's going to show the data from our data set and house prices, for an example, which is inside our CSV file. And now it's going to say, this is a data set containing information about various properties for sale. The data set includes multiple columns, each of which represent different attributes of the properties. So it's going to break down the columns. It's going to explain what the identifiers are for, what the property ID is for, the location ID, and it's going to explain all the cells in our data set document. Okay, so if you don't understand what you've downloaded, you can do it here. And it says, overall, this data set provides a detailed overview of various properties listed for sale. So we've explained what it actually is. So then we could say, what are the main key points to take from this data set? So we can ask it another question. So then it's going to work again. It's going to analyze it again, and it's going to come back to us after it's finished working. Based on the numerical data and categorical statistics, here are some key points. So it's going to talk about the price of properties varies significantly with a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 2 billion. The average price is around 70 million. Note that the median price, 8.5 million, is much lower than the average. So it's going to actually work with numbers and data, and it's going to tell us specific ranges. Okay, so we've analyzed it, and now we're getting the key takeaway points from this data set. It's going to talk about the baths and bedrooms in the property. So there's an average of 2.87 bathrooms and 3.18 bedrooms, but there are properties with up to 403 bathrooms and 68 bedrooms. That must be like a castle or a palace. But anyway, interesting. There are 7 unique property types in this data set. There are 1,509 unique locations across 5 cities and 3 provinces. So we can use this to analyze the data and then break it down into sizable consumable information that's easy to actually digest and understand. command. Okay, so now we can also say, can you form me 5 useful diagrams to showcase the data presented in this data set? So that's going to be our prompt. And now, after it works, hopefully this is going to create as a set of visuals, because it can actually work with graphs and data. It actually forms the data into graphs. So I'm going to show you that in a minute, because it can actually output images, which people are going to be shocked by. Now, this takes a while because it has to actually produce them and generate them. But just like an image generator like Midjourney, this can actually generate us real images in real time. So now you can see it's generated some graphs. Just like if we would create these graphs in Microsoft Word or in actual software, it's made them in ChatGPT. So it says, here are 5 diagrams showcasing the data from the data set. We can right click, we can open it in a new tab, and we can download it. But the download extension is kind of weird. It doesn't download as a PNG. And it says, here are 5 diagrams, and each show a different point from the data set. One shows the price distribution in a histogram. One shows number of bedrooms in a bar chart. One shows the top 5 property types in a bar chart. One bar chart shows property types by city, another by area type, and there's a scatter plot diagram which shows price versus area size. And these diagrams provide a visual overview of the data and can help to identify patterns and outliers. However, they're just the beginning of the possible visualizations and analyses that could be performed on this data set. So this is really conclusive, useful information. So we've narrowed out key important takeaway factors and we've generated them into easy to digest graphs and bar charts. So this is the power of the code interpreter. Very impressive stuff. Now, an interesting thing that we can also do is we can also size images. So I have this random image over here. I don't know where I got this from, some kind of video game I used to play. So now we're going to upload this file. So just like any other file, we're going to attach an image now. And yes, you can upload images just like with data sets. What we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to show you how to manipulate images. So I'm going to type in crop this image to 250 by 250 and we're going to press enter. And just like with an AI upscaler or an image resizing tool, we can actually now use ChatGPT to manipulate images from its own interface. And as you can see, it says I've cropped and resized the image to 250 by 250 pixels, and here's the link to the cropped image. So we press that, click and download, and now it's cropped our image. And I use perfect dimensions, so I'm going to compare the uncropped image and the cropped image. You can see the cropped image is actually upscaled because the original image is actually rather smaller, the one on the left. So you can see we've resized that image, and it's not skewed either because we've maintained the aspect ratio. So you're going to have to be careful about the resizing. If you don't understand like the sizes you need to crop an image by, you can also type in crop this image without skewing or distorting it. And then that will prevent it from distorting the image or skewing it and kind of messing up the dimensions. That's how you can get around that and fix it. And then it will come back with another output, okay? On mine, you can see it's explained that the cropping operation that it performed on the previous image already followed these 2 steps. So it didn't skew it or mess with it, but it's also still going to provide me with a new image. So it's going to finish work and then it's going to crop it again. And it's going to link me to another download, and it says starting download. Images may take a while to generate, upload, and also download because there's so many operations that need to be completed and there's so many users using the service at the same time. So now we have the same image outputted. So now I'm going to show you the same process but working with actual code. So we're going to go to our dataset website again. Now we're going to go to code, and we're also going to filter this code by Python by clicking the Python button down here. I'm going to go ahead and download some code that's actually made in Python, and we're going to download something interesting. So let's just go ahead and we'll download this analysis of smart contracts in blockchain. We're going to click on these 3 dots and press download code over here, and it's going to download is this file behind my camera, which is .ipynb. We'll go back to ChatGPT and we're going to upload this file. Upload this analysis of smart contracts in blockchain, and now we're going to type in explain to me what this code does and what its purpose is. And after we've uploaded it, we can also use the code interpreter to explain actual programming code, which is kind of what it was meant for, right? The other features I showed you, like the image resizing and the data analysis, are kind of like a gimmick. They're useful features, but now we're going to actually go into real code. So this is a notebook, which is in Python that I've downloaded, and it's going to explain it. So this Jupyter notebook is analyzing a data set related to smart contracts on various blockchain platforms. Here's a breakdown of what each part of the code does. It imports necessary modules, it loads the data, it does exploratory data analysis, data cleaning, and then data analysis and visualization. And then it also gives me a summary. In summary, the purpose of this code is to load and clean a data set related to smart contracts contracts on various blockchain platforms, and then analyze and visualize the number of smart contracts on each blockchain and for each token. The analysis can provide insights into which blockchains and tokens are most commonly associated with smart contracts. So this is like Web3 crypto code in the whole crypto space, if that interests you. So that's pretty cool. So now I'm going to show you another thing. So as well as converting images and resizing them, we can also convert audio files. So I'm going to load this little audio file here, which is a WAV file, a waveform, which I actually recorded for a video on one of my other channels. Now what I want to do with this is I want to convert this WAV file into an MP3 file because I want to work in that file architecture instead. So what I'd go ahead and do is I'd upload this file, this WAV file. I'll wait for it to upload into the interface and attach the file. When it's uploaded, all I simply type in is convert this audio file to an MP3. So now we can use ChatGPT as a file converter. Pretty crazy stuff, I know. I'm not sure if it supports every file and every extension, but the fact that we can actually convert certain files with a code interpreter is pretty interesting. So now it says I've converted the audio to MP3. Here's a link to the converted audio file. We'll press download, and now it's converted it, and you can't hear this, but the audio still plays and it works. So it's converted it from a WAV to an MP3. This is actually useful. Now remember, GPT-4 still has a limit cap. It's like 25 messages every 3 hours or something like that. So when you are testing this, you're going to only have a limit of prompts you can actually enter in. But it's fun to play around with. Hopefully, eventually they'll remove that cap so we can mess around with this and convert loads of stuff at once. Also, we could use the code interpreter to actually help us write Python code. So I could type in, write me a Python function called add numbers. I'm taking this off a website because I'm not actually a Python coder. That takes a list of numbers as an input and returns their sum. If the input is not a list, or if it contains elements that are not numbers, the function should raise a value error with an appropriate error message. So I copied this prompt from a website called Pluralsight because I don't code in Python, but I want to show you how to actually generate Python code. So we type in a function like this, and then it actually generates as a Python code. So it says, I've written a Python function called add numbers as requested. Here's how it works. This function takes a list of numbers as an argument. It first checks whether the input is a list. If not, it raises a value error with the message input should be a list. Next, it checks whether all elements in the list are numbers, either integers or floats. If the list contains any non-number elements, the function raises a value error with the message all elements in this list should be numbers. Finally, if the input is a list of numbers, the function returns the sum of those numbers. You can use the function like this. So then we could press copy code and use this code in our project and just use this to kind of understand what we're doing. You could also alternatively just paste code in. So I could copy this, paste this in, and then just type in, what does this Python code do? Presumably we didn't generate this. Presumably this is just code we want to understand. And then it's going to give us an explanation of what this function does, what the code actually returns, and what it's all about. So that's how we can generate, resize, convert, create graphs and data, export data, summarize, basically use the code interpreter to do a whole bunch of tasks. Okay, this isn't just for code. You've seen that we could just enter any file in. You could even attach a PDF file and let it condense and read it and summarize it for you. Super crazy stuff. Now, I haven't tried this with full ebooks. I'm not sure if it entirely works that way, but I'd be interested to see, and I might experiment with this later, if you could just enter an ebook and then ask it to like bring you back the most useful key points from that book to summarize it. That'd also be really incredible. So this is the code interpreter. If you've got any questions on how to use it, or if you get stuck, leave them in the comments down below. If there's any cool prompts or other use cases for this new plugin that I missed from this video that you want to share, also please do leave them in the comments down below too. And if this video is useful, press like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.